What's up, guys? Welcome to the Debate Mates. My name is Matthew Swanenberg, and after about 2 years of no videos, the Debate Mates are finally back, and we're finally back for good. Videos are going to be a little bit different than they were last time around. They're going to be shorter, and they're going to be more frequent. Like I said, it's been about 2 years since the last upload, but this season looks like it's going to be one of the most exciting seasons we've had in recent memory. So many new stars in new places, so much parity and young stars in the league. Guys like Victor Wembanyama have come up and have really made their impact on the league since the last time we recorded a video, which seems crazy. It's been that long, but like I said, I'm just excited to get back talking basketball with you guys. Hopefully you enjoy the videos. There's going to be more social media content coming out now. To pair with the videos and in the meantime between video recordings. So make sure you guys follow us on Instagram, and I think we have Twitter at the Debate Mates. Maybe we'll even get a TikTok going if we're feeling frisky, who knows. Also would be at the Debate Mates, of course. Make sure you throw us a subscription, the Debate Mates, obviously. And without further ado, let's get into it. On today's video, I'm going to be going through all 30 NBA teams, the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference, and ranking the 15 teams in each conference based off of where I think they're going to finish at the end of the regular season. And instead of just going 1 through 15 and leaving it at that, yeah, that's too easy. You know, we're coming back from a long break, but I'm not that rusty, right? Let's go and predict every team's record, too. Gives us much more of a chance to be incredibly wrong about things. Oh, but if I'm right, it's going to be incredible. So, like I said, all 30 teams, all 30 records. I made sure they all added up to equal 1,230, the number of games played in an NBA season. So, it's not like we're going to have 15 teams that are 70 and then 12. That wouldn't make any sense. And like I said, let's just get into it. Starting in the Eastern Conference, we're going to go 15 to number 1. The Eastern Conference has some of the worst teams, I think, in recent memory, starting with the Washington Wizards. I think they're going to be the worst team in the NBA by far this season at 14-68 is my record prediction. Jordan Poole looked solid off the bench a little bit last year. Kyle Kuzma had some moments. Bilal Coulibaly showed some flashes, and people are still pretty high on him, and he has a lot of room to grow. But Denny Avdia was, I think, their most exciting player last year. He was their best, most consistent player. They got rid of him and sent him to Portland. They got Malcolm Brogdon back, who doesn't really fit with this team. Hopefully he can be traded, but the teams he's bounced around on recently, the Trailblazers and now the Wizards, seems to indicate to me that maybe his market isn't what it used to be when we thought that he could be a guy that could elevate a team like the Clippers back before they got James Harden, to elevate a team like the Celtics before they got Drew Holiday. So with his value around the league seemingly declining, I don't know what pieces the Wizards have to really improve. Jonas Valanciunas, I assume, will be traded by February. He's their center right now to kind of ease Alex Sarr, who was their number 2 overall draft pick in this most recent draft, into the league. This team is just going to stink. I think they're going to be really bad. And with Cooper Flag coming up, why not be horrible, you know? They need a franchise cornerstone because it's not Poole, it's not Kuzma, and we haven't seen much from Coulibaly, but I don't think it's going to be him. So I have them being horrible at 14-68, pretty easy. Next worst team in the Eastern Conference, I have the Brooklyn Nets. Trade up Mikal Bridges in the offseason for a boatload of draft picks so they finally can kind of control their own destiny a little bit. They still have some more players that they could trade. Dorian Finney-Smith, who hasn't really been good since he played with Luka. So again, what is his value in the league? And then guys like Cam Johnson is someone that I assume will have value in the association. Cam Thomas, the Cam I meant to not say the first time, he's just going to put up 30 shots a game, I assume. He's going to go for the scoring title. He'll probably average 25 to 27 points per game. He's always been a bit of a ball hog, and this is the perfect situation for him to do it. Perfect situation for a guy like Ben Simmons to see if he still has anything left in the league. I think they'll finish 18-64 and be one of the worst teams in the NBA. At 13, I have the Charlotte Hornets. New head coach Charles Lee coming from the Boston Celtics. People seem to like him. He's young and he's exciting. He's going to bring some, hopefully some culture to the Hornets, a team that's had some incidents on and off the court. LaMelo Ball's wearing ankle braces. Hopefully he can stay healthy, but that's always a struggle. Him and Brandon Miller seem like they could be a really powerful 1-2 punch going forward for this team. It's an exciting duo they haven't had in forever, because even when they had Kemba Walker, he was their franchise face and one of the best players in the league, but never seemed like he was never a young superstar like both LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller are. So there's reason to be excited for this team. Unfortunately, there are too many other good teams in the NBA, and the Eastern Conference is pretty top heavy. So the Hornets are going to get beat down on, and these wins for the top teams, they have to come from somewhere. So I think the Hornets take a minor step back. They were 21-21 last year. I think they fall to 20-62, finishing 13th in the Eastern Conference. The Toronto Raptors, I have them finishing 12th. at 23-59, which seems really bad, but last year they were 25-57, and I don't think of them as being that horrible last year. So if that's how bad they were last year, and they don't have Siakam at all this year, they don't have OG Anunoby at all this year, who both started the team with them last year and then were traded about the midway point, this team's going to be even worse. Harrison Barnes. Scotty Barnes is a good, promising young player, but I don't really like his fit next to RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley, a lot of guys who have to have the ball in their hands and want to get downhill and want to make things happen. Grady Dick is a player who I still have some confidence in as a shooter, but I don't really know what his value is in the league, and I don't know how versatile he's going to be, so I'm excited to see him hopefully develop a little bit more this year. And Jakob Poeltl said in the preseason and media day, we're going to stink. I don't know why we're going to win a lot of games. I don't think we're going to try to win a lot of games. So a lot of things going poorly for the Raptors in the preseason coming into the season. I think this team's going to be really bad and miss the play-in. At number 11, my first team out of the play-in in the Eastern Conference, I have the Pistons taking a pretty big step forward, increasing their win total from last year by 12 games, finishing 26-56. It's going to be hard for them to get any worse. 28-game losing streak last year. They were actually terrible. Their head coach, Monty Williams, did not want to be a head coach. He only became a head coach because the Pistons made him one of the richest head coaches in NBA history. So they have a real head coach this year in J.B. Bickerstaff, a guy who had success with the Cleveland Cavaliers and seems to be trying to implement some sort of culture with the Pistons. No hoodies right now, no headwear. I don't know. Anything might work right now. They got guys like Tobias Harris and Tim Hardaway Jr. who have their deficiencies, but those are really deficiencies that are highlighted on a good team. On a bad team, they're going to help you get a couple wins because they're NBA players. So getting more NBA players on a team that really stinks is a good thing, even if they're guys that might look bad on the Pistons, or not the Pistons, the Mavericks and the Sixers, two teams that are in the spotlight, need them to perform to win a championship. These guys have no media attention on them in the Pistons. They can just go out and play. They're going to help the Pistons win a couple games. I think Cade Cunningham improves a lot this year. Could see him flirt with an all-star team potentially. So I got the Pistons finishing 11th in the East. My first play-in team is the play-in Chicago Bulls. They make it every year. Why not this year? I'm going 30-52, so they're going to stink, I think. I like Josh Giddey on the team, but I think there's a weird overlap with him, Kobe White, and Lonzo Ball when he gets healthy and can start playing. I know he played in the preseason a little bit, but it was a minutes restriction. We'll see how much he plays in the regular season. Zach LaVine has become a strange player in this league. Will we ever see him get traded? Will we ever see his value get up to what it used to be, where you could talk yourself into him being an all-star 25-point-per-game scorer? Or is this just kind of who he is right now? Is he sort of damaged goods, unfortunately? I hope they let Montes Buzelis play a little bit. He was a high draft pick by the Bulls in this year's draft, a Chicago kid. I think he's got a lot of potential, and guys in the camp seem to like him a lot. Billy Donovan said he will play, so I'm excited about that. I think the Bulls should try to go to Cooper Flag. I think they need some sort of direction. And while I do think they have some good NBA-level talent on this roster, ultimately they're just not that good. And 30-52, I think, is what they finish. But I would love to see them lean into a tank and go even worse than that and really try to go in for Cooper Flag. My 9 seed, I have the Atlanta Hawks, another play-in staple, a team that you see there every single year. It's their goal to make the play-in for some odd reason. I think they go 35-47. Not as bad as the Bulls, but also not very good. I like Trae Young as an offensive engine. I hope that this team takes a more Indiana Pacers style of play, where they just play fast and they say screw the defense and let's just go produce on offense. That being said, though, I do like some of the defensive players they brought in. I like Zachary Reese-Shea, number 1 overall draft pick. He's solid on defense. Well, that's actually where he hangs his hat, on his defense. Good three-point shooter in the preseason. I like Dyson Daniels as a wing defender and a guard defender. He's a much better defender than DeJounte Murray was, who they traded out in the offseason. I think this team is a little bit better on defense. I think their offense hopefully takes a step forward with the ball in Trae Young's hands a little bit more. But we've seen what a Trae Young offensive team can do. At their best, they had the 1 year where they got fluky hot and they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Since then, though, it's been a lot of play-in tournament games, and I don't see why this year's any different. So like I said, 35-47. I am curious to see how this season plays out. If they stink, do we see Trae Young get traded? Because this is kind of, I think, his last chance to prove that he is the franchise in Atlanta. At number 8, I have the Indiana Pacers taking a pretty big step back, going 44-38, which is only a 3-game loss from last season. Jarris Walker, Pascal Siakam, and Benedict Mathurin hopefully should be there for the whole season. Of course, Siakam was a mid-season trade. Mathurin was hurt. And Jarris Walker was a high draft pick who just didn't really play very much. Spent a lot of time in the G League, but a lot of people have high hopes for him. The Pacers are pretty deep with guys like TJ McConnell coming off the bench. And then, like I said, Jarris Walker should hopefully be there. Andrew Nembhard, I think, is a pretty good player. Obi Toppin. But ultimately, I think they're not going to take anybody by surprise this year. I think teams are going to be adjusted to their pace a little bit more, and I think teams are going to be adjusted to the way they play a little bit more. And I'm interested to see what we have from Tyrese Halliburton this year. At times last year, he looked like he was one of the best point guards in the league, and at times last year, post-injury, he looked like the second best point guard on the Indiana Pacers behind TJ McConnell. So I think he has more of a all-star, all-NBA caliber year, but ultimately, I think that there are teams in the Eastern Conference that just got better than them, and I think they take a minor step back. In the 7th seed, I have the Miami Heat. I think contract year Jimmy Butler comes in with a chip on his shoulder. I think Bam Adebayo looked really good in the Olympics. I hope to see him take a couple more three-pointers this regular season. And of course, we all know what he's capable of defensively. They're still going to have one of the best defenses in the league as long as he is on the team. Need to see a step forward from Tyler Hero. Need to see how Terry Rozier looks in a full season with the Miami Heat. Jaime Jaquez Jr. should continue to get better, as should Nikola Jovic. Those are two players who I think I am pretty high on. I think they have a lot of room to get better. So I have the Heat finishing 45-37. I think Coach Spo could coach a team of me's to a record of around 42-40, probably. So 45-37 for this roster seems pretty easy, and I think they do take a big step forward. It's the 6th seed. I have the Philadelphia 76ers, probably a top 3 most talented team in the Eastern Conference. You could argue in the NBA, they're one of the 5 most talented teams, with Paul George coming in. Tyrese Maxey is awesome. Joel Embiid's one of the best players in the league, so you might wonder why I have them this low at 47-35. But Embiid said, I'm not playing back-to-backs again for the rest of my career. Paul George is already hurt. And they got some guys, Caleb Martin they brought in Eric Gordon. Kelly Oubre is still there, but I don't really see those guys as big help to win in the regular season. I think that's more playoff depth. Same with Andre Drummond. I think Tyrese Maxey is going to be their best player this year. And a Tyrese Maxey-led team is a playoff team, I think, with, of course, Joel Embiid playing every once in a while. Same with Paul George. But I just don't think this team can compete for home court advantage, and I also don't think they're going to try to. They are focused more on a championship this year, and playing Joel Embiid and Paul George probably as little as possible while still being able to make the playoffs. So I have them finishing 47-35 in the 6th seed. The number 5 seed, the Orlando Magic. I have them going 48-34, a 1-win increase from last year. I love Kentavious Caldwell-Pope on the Magic. He brings 2 things they needed, which was 3-point shooting, and they have great defense already, but just another good wing defender to take a little bit of stress off of Paolo and Franz. They have Jalen Suggs and Anthony Black. Need to see a step forward from at least one of them so they can have a reliable point guard. Other than that, need Jonathan Isaac to stay healthy. He just increases their defense by a whole nother level. A team that was already a great defensive team has the opportunity to get even better when he's on the court, and of course when KCP is on the court. Need Franz to increase as a 3-point shooter to become a little bit better. And like I said, other than the point guard help, this team is pretty solid. Paolo Banchero, I think, steps up big time this year. All-NBA type of season from him. And I just love the Magic on defense. I love the addition of shooting with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I think this team is going to be awesome. So I have them finishing 5th. I could see them getting 50 wins like the Thunder did, or like sort of like the Pacers. Like these young team progressions, they increase slightly, and then it seems like there's a big jump. And I could see the Magic being one of those teams this year, like the Thunder were last year. But I have them at 48-34. The 4th seed Milwaukee Bucks. I have them going 49-33. I'm concerned about the health and the age of Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Damian Lillard, and Brook Lopez. Chris Middleton's going to miss opening day, which stinks. He just can't stay healthy ever since the championship run. I like Gary Trent Jr. as their starting shooting guard coming into the season. I like DeLon Wright off the bench, but ultimately these are just kind of guys in the NBA. They're not needle movers, really. I think there are just 3 teams in the Eastern Conference that are better than them, and I think this could be nearing the end of the Giannis Antetokounmpo tenure in Milwaukee as we see the teammates around him start to just get older and get a little bit worse. So not a whole lot of depth, and there's a lot of pressure on Doc Rivers to perform this year. I see the Bucks taking a step back. 3 seed, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers. I love this team. I love Kenny Atkinson. I love him as the head coach in Brooklyn. That team played with a lot of passion. They played with a lot of energy. I liked how Jared Allen looked under him. He made the All-Star team under him. I don't think that's the goal this year. I think Mobley is the first option when it comes to the big men. I'd like to see the offense be run through him a little bit more. I think he's going to take a big step forward. I think Donovan Mitchell continues to perform at an All-NBA level. This team is good defensively. They've got good 3-point shooters. Oddly enough, they were good when people were injured last year, and this year they're coming in all healthy. So we'll see how there is a lot of repetition on this team. Garland and Mitchell, Mobley and Allen. I think they fit better together this year. I like the cohesion. I like the continuity. I think they finish 3rd and get to 50 wins. My 2nd seed in the East, I have the New York Knicks at 55-27. I love their. They lost a lot of depth. I like Deuce McBride a lot. They lost DiVincenzo, of course. They lost Julius Randle. This team just had a sort of weird offseason, bringing in Mikal Bridges, and then seemed like they were going Nova Knicks route, traded DiVincenzo, like I said. But still, I love Mikal Bridges on this team. He's durable. He's going to play a whole lot of games. OG Anunoby misses a lot of games, so they need a guy like Bridges. Cat misses a lot of games, so they need a guy like Bridges. I think their offense is just going to be unstoppable. Brunson and Cat having a pick and roll with Bridges spacing the court and OG spacing the court and Josh Hart coming to crash. And then when Mitchell Robinson gets healthy, I think that increases their defense by a whole level. You can kind of play like the Timberwolves played with the big five and the big four, and Cat and Mitchell Robinson sharing the court together. I think Brunson has a first-team NBA type of season, probably doesn't get first-team NBA because Luka, Shea, Giannis. But I think he flirts with first-team and possibly does make it. I just love this team. Depth is a little questionable, but they've got the star power. They've got the top guys. This team's going to be awesome, I think. And my one seed in the Eastern Conference, I got the Celtics running back-to-back in the East. They're the championship favorite right now. I think they go 61-21, so a 4-win decrease from last year, or excuse me, a 3-win decrease from last year. They're just well-coached. They're deep. I think they're going to let guys like Peyton Pritchard cook a little bit more. Jaylen Brown said, if it's like a random Tuesday against the Pistons, we're going to put Peyton Pritchard in there and see what he can do. So I think they're going to lose a couple of games just because they're not going to take it as seriously maybe this season as they did last year. But then again, Joe Mazzulla seems like he's a psychopath. He seems like he wants to put the foot on the jugular and just go for it. The only question I have really is Porzingis being out. Do we finally see Al Horford regress a little bit? He's going to be in a big role this year, probably playing majority of the starting center minutes until January-ish. So do we finally see old man Al Horford take a step back? Or is he a reliable center and the Bucks or the Celtics finish like 65-17? Who knows? But I have them going 61-21 and still winning the Eastern Conference pretty comfortably. Moving on to the West. 15 seed, I've got the Portland Trailblazers. They stink, 20-62. I think they're going to be a fun team on League Pass. I think Scoot Henderson is a fun young player. We're going to see a lot of... hopefully we see him get a little bit better. He's a very aggressive young player. He's talented. I like Shaedon Sharpe. I like Donovan Clingan, Anthony Simons, Denny Avdia. Like I said, was the best player on the Wizards last year. I think they've got a lot of good pieces, but a lot of guys that just don't fit well together. And they got a lot of trade pieces. Robert Williams could get traded. Jeremy Grant could get traded and probably has been trying to get traded for the last 3-4 seasons. But they have no reason to be good. They have no reason to do anything other than try to get Cooper Flagg. So I think they stink 20-62. My 14 seed, I have the Utah Jazz, a team that's just kind of gotten left behind by the Western Conference, a team that was solid, nearly made the play-in, Larry Markkanen's first year there and caught everybody by surprise with Will Hardy, and just since then have sort of fallen off. They haven't gotten that top-tier talent. They don't really have a young building block. Larry Markkanen's a little bit older, so he's not really the franchise cornerstone type of guy that a lot of these other bad players have or are trying to get. I'd love to see them just play their young guys, play Kyle Filipowski, play Keontae George, and just see what happens. Trade guys like Sexton, Jordan Clarkson, and Kelly Olynyk. I think those probably happen this year or should happen this year. And again, just go for Cooper Flagg. I think this is the last year that they try to rebuild. I think eventually they're going to have to trade Larry Markkinen and get some players back and have more of a plan than they have right now. Danny Ainge is a great general manager. I think he makes something happen, but I do think they're going to stink this year. The 13 seed, a hard team to predict, is the Los Angeles Clippers. I have them at 33-49. Kawhi is out indefinitely. They lost Paul George. They got some good role players, Nicholas Batum, Derrick Jones Jr., but ultimately it's a lot of role players and a 35-year-old James Harden. Can he still be an engine like he's been in the past? I don't think so, because we're talking like 2018 past. We're talking like 6 years ago past. I don't think he's got that in him anymore. So I think the Clippers take a huge step back in their brand new arena, the Intuit Dome, where they've got 1 billion toilets for everybody to use. Unfortunately, I think they're going to be a lot of spare toilets in the arena because they're not going to be a whole lot of sellouts with this kind of stinky team. So I have them going 13th at 33-49. 12th, the San Antonio Spurs. Big step forward with Victor Wembanyama. I have them winning 35 games. Like I said, I think Wemby continues to get better, probably makes an All-NBA team this year, makes the All-Star game. I would say that's a lock. They got good vets on the team. Chris Paul, Harrison Barnes. They got good young guys. Devin Vassell. Jeremy Sohan, is he a good young guy? He's a young guy. Is he good? But he's on the team. Keldon Johnson. Stephon Castle looks like a good defensive player. I wish they had held on to Rob Dillingham just as a creator and someone that's a little exciting, but it is what it is. They have a pretty solid team, I think. This isn't their year. This is still a year to be kind of all right. Still a year to tread water and just figure out who you need around Victor Wembanyama and continue to build around him. But he's a franchise-altering player. We all know it, and they're going to be awesome this year to watch, I think. But not as good as the teams ahead of them in the West, because the West is just loaded this year. At 11th, maybe my first big controversial take, I got the Los Angeles Lakers. Coming in at 42-40, I still think they finish over 500 but missed the playoffs. That would be a 5-game decrease from last season. LeBron played 71 games and Anthony Davis played 76 games, and they won 47 games. That's a recipe for a 50-55 win team when you got your two of the best players in the world playing that many games and still barely made the playoffs, barely squeaked into the play-in. So I just see a big regression from them. I like their starting five of D'Lo, Rui, Austin Reeves, and then of course LeBron and AD. But I don't like their bench, and I'm just afraid that AD or LeBron's going to get injured, health is going to catch up to him, and it's just not going to be as good of a season. You can't guarantee that sort of health again, so I think they have a big fall off. At the 10 seed, I have the Houston Rockets, a very frisky and fun team from last season. I think they finished 43-39, a 2-win increase from the year before. I just really like how Reed Shepherd has looked in the preseason. I like Cam Whitmore a lot, Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun, Jabari Smith Jr., There are so many guys on this team that they're just so deep. They're so talented. They're so young. Maybe they have a little bit too much going on right now. The guys like Jabari Smith and Sengun maybe don't complement each other great. Guys like Jalen Green and Sengun don't complement each other great. Jalen Green played the best basketball of his career when Sengun got hurt, but the Rockets looked good when Sengun was healthy, and Sengun was playing the best basketball of his career. So they have some questions moving forward. This is a team that could definitely go big game hunting with the amount of young star potential players they have, and maybe go get a disgruntled Kevin Durant if Phoenix doesn't work out, something like that. But Ime Udoka is a great defensive coach. I think this team is going to be pretty good this year, coming into the 10 seed at 43-39. My 9 seed, the Golden State Warriors, 44-38. I think they did get better in the offseason. Even though they lost Clay, they got DeAnthony Melton. I like his fit next to Curry as a defensive guy and a three-point shooter. Just going to need to see a big step forward from guys like Trace Jackson-Davis, Kuminga, Moses Moody, and Brandon Podziemski. See what Andrew Wiggins still has left in the tank, because he's been bad for the last couple of seasons, and he was one of their best players to championship runs. So need to see him take that step forward to the player we've seen him be before. And we just need Draymond to stay on the court. When he's healthy and when he's playing, the Warriors have a great defense, and they look pretty good. When he is suspended for punching players, they look bad. So I think he stays on the court more this year than he did last year. Last year was crazy, punching Yusuf Nurkic and then taking some time away from the league. People thought he was going to retire. It came out of absolutely nowhere. I just think, like I said, the West has gotten so much better since last season. I think the Warriors are still pretty solid. I hope they get better, and I hope they make a big trade to try to extend Steph Curry's window with winning championships with this franchise. But ultimately, I think this team is bottom end of the play-in. At the 8 seed, I have the Memphis Grizzlies with an 18-win increase from last year. I could see them going 46-36. Ja Morant wins 58% of the games in his career in the regular season. So if he stays healthy and he's on the court, this team is going to win games. That's just what they do. I like Zach Edey a lot. I think he's going to be a matchup nightmare. There are going to be games where he's played off the court, and there are going to be games against the Pelicans when they're starting Daniel Tice where he might score 20 and 20. So he's going to be an interesting guy to watch. I think he's going to be a guy that could finish towards the top, if not win Rookie of the Year. They just need help from guys like Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane, and Marcus Smart. Desmond Bane had a sleeper all-star type of year last year, scored 24 points per game on 46% shooting. So interested to see how he continues to develop next to Ja Morant. He'll be the number 2, possibly number 3 option this year. So I think this team has a lot of good pieces. They just need health, and they just need Ja Morant, and they're going to be pretty good. The 7th seed, I have the Sacramento Kings finishing 47-35. I don't really love the fit of DeRozan, Sabonis, and De'Aaron Fox. A lot of guys that want to get downhill and don't shoot a whole lot of threes, but they're going to be elite in the clutch. They're going to have a fantastic offense. Their defense is probably going to stink, but like I said, their offense is going to make up for it, which is the formula for them. That's how they made the playoffs in 22-23 when they had the light the beam season. So I think, like I said, the defense is going to stink. The three-point shooting is going to be questionable. They do have guys like Malik Monk. Hopefully a big bounce back year for my guy Kevin Huerter. They have Keegan Murray, all capable three-point shooters. I just think this team's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Keon Ellis, I think, will step up as a defender. And like I said, hopefully bounce back seasons from Huerter, and maybe a bit of a more of a push from Keegan Murray to be a top 3 type of guy on the team. So I've been going 47-35 and still finishing in the play-in as the 7th seed. My playoff teams, my top 6 in the West. New Orleans Pelicans at number 6. I have them going 48-34. I love Zion. He looks like he's healthy. He looks like he's fit. I love Trey Murphy. I love Herb Jones. I don't love DeJounte Murray, and I don't love Brandon Ingram on the same team. I think there's a trade coming there. I think everybody knows there's a trade coming there. Brandon Ingram's got to make his way off of this team because the Pelicans desperately need a center. Daniel Tice cannot be their starting center, and Herb Jones certainly cannot be their starting center like they've been saying he will be. Like I said, there's a big trade coming, I think. Zion played 70 games last year, and unlike Anthony Davis and LeBron, who I'm a little worried about, Zion looks like he's getting healthier. He looks like he's getting more fit, and he's still pretty young. He hasn't even hit his prime yet. So I think he continues to play a lot of games and continues to just look great and have an all-NBA type of season. This team is very deep. They've got pieces to make a trade. Hopefully they can get in some center. That's really their only big need. This team could easily win 50 games or they could miss the playoffs, honestly, if trades go wrong. But I have them finishing as the 6th seed at 48-34. As the 5, this one might also be a bit surprising, the Denver Nuggets. I think they take a step back and go 51-31. Nikola Jokic just wins 50 games all the time. He's done it 3 out of the last 6 seasons, 2 out of the last 2 seasons, so he just is a winner. I think Jamal Murray has looked pretty bad recently. I don't think he looked good in the playoffs, and he had a horrible Olympics. Obviously, he had the game winners against the Lakers, but majority of those games, he was very quiet, very inefficient. We need some steps forward from Michael Porter Jr. We need Christian Braun, Peyton Watson, Julian Strother, 2 of those guys to hit to make up for the loss of KCP, Bruce Brown, and Jeff Green. Of course, Brown and Green left after the championship season. KCP just left. Gonna need Brown to hit more threes and take more threes, or Peyton Watson or Julian Strother to get better at threes. They just need somebody to make up for the gaps that have been left by Brown and KCP. And I love Westbrook off the bench as sort of an energizer. I think he's a good fit next to Nikola Jokic, just somebody that'll just cut and offensive rebound and help push the pace a little bit. He just brings some attitude that I think the Nuggets need and lacked last year without Bruce Brown. As the 4 seed, I got the Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't love Julius Randle on this team. I don't love that they don't have Karl-Anthony Towns anymore, although Ant and Gobert sort of did get in each other's way a little bit, some argued, but Randle's a bit of a ball stopper. Dante's a really good 3-point shooter, so I love them bringing in Dante DiVincenzo off the bench. He's also some insurance for Mike Conley if he gets older, if his age starts to catch up to him or if he gets injured. I think they're going to step back a little bit on defense, which is why I think they win 3 less games than they did last year and finish 53-29. They have a solid bench. I like Rob Dillingham. I'm excited to see him play. I think he'll get some minutes on this team. I'm a little worried that they're putting too much pressure on guys like Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniels to step up. They've never proven for a whole season that they can be offensive type of guys. So we'll see how they step up in the absence of a big scorer like Karl-Anthony Towns. I think this team has a little bit of a fall off, but they still have Anthony Edwards. They'll still be pretty good at the 4 seed. At 3, I have the Dallas Mavericks with a 4-game increase going 54-28. They still got Luka. They still got Kyrie. Luka's a Jokic type of guy where he's going to just win you 50 games, I think. And they got Clay, 41% from 3 last year. Najee Marshall's a really solid defender. And after the trade deadline last year, they went 4th best offense and 10th best defense, 21-9. So this team with P.J. Washington, with Daniel Gafford, is a good defensive team. They're a good offensive team. Yes, they lost Derrick Jones Jr., who was their best point of attack defender, but I still think this team is really good. I think their offense is going to be great, and I think if their defense can just be good enough, they finish as one of the best teams in the entire NBA. At my 2 seed, I got the Phoenix Suns. I don't know why, but I'm just bullish on this team. I love Mike Budenholzer as a head coach. He wins 60% of his career regular season games. He is just a regular season winner with the Hawks, with the Bucks. Bud Ball just works. He's going to have those guys shooting a lot of threes, which is good because Booker and Durant can hit a lot of threes. Beal can hit a lot of threes. They brought in Tyus Jones, and they brought in Monte Morris, who are both their career above 40% from 3. They don't turn the ball over, and they get a lot of assists. Great distributors. I love how the rookie Ryan Dunn has looked at UVA. He looks really good on defense. He looks like a guy that could actually impact the rotation and get some minutes. So I have this team going 58-24. Again, another team that I could be completely wrong on. They could crash and burn, but I just like their depth. I like the way Kevin Durant and Devin Booker fit together. I loved how they looked in the Olympics together. And I love Mike Budenholzer as their head coach. And the 1 seed in the West, this is a no-brainer, the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think they finished 62-20. They brought in Alex Caruso, who shoots 40% from 3 on the Bulls last year, a team where they had no spacing and no 3-point shooters. This year, he's going to have a ton of spacing and he's going to be the 6th option. So he's going to look great, I think, on this team. Great on defense. They're so deep. They've got Aaron Wiggins, Cason Wallace, Isaiah Joe, and Jalen Williams. They can make up for the injury to Isaiah Hartenstein, and they can really make up for any injury that they sustained during the course of the season. They had the 3rd best defense last year, and they got better with Caruso and Hartenstein when he's healthy. Hartenstein is a great rebounder. That solves another one of their biggest deficiencies. He is out for 1 month, but once he comes back, and even until he comes back, I think this team is just going to be absolutely nasty. One of the best teams in the league, a definite team that can make the NBA championship. So there you have it. Those are my predictions for the records of each 30 NBA teams, or all 30 NBA teams. I apologize, this video ran a little bit longer than I was hoping for it to run. Talking about 30 teams takes a while, and doing an introduction when you haven't done an introduction for a YouTube video in about 2 years. But going forward, the videos will be a lot shorter, they'll be a lot more concise, and like I said, they'll be a lot more frequent than they used to be. If you want a refresher on my 30 rankings, they'll be posted on Instagram and on Twitter and possibly TikTok. I thank you guys all for watching the video. I'm looking forward to doing a lot of Debate Mates content this season. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.